Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up
All that jam.
All That Jam, Quick Hit. PPP's Greg Ormont on their upcoming tour.
All right tonight. That was in the fall, like late fall, right? October, I think, when that one was
So
released.
I already
Um,
told Kevin I am a bad band historian, even though this was very recent, in the grand scheme of things. He asked me like, yeah, so Gator joined in this year. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so, but yes, I know it came out in late 2023.
well, do you want to talk about that one a little bit? I love the sound of it. And you all put out some really cool visuals too with it, like graphics and stuff, which I
Oh
thought was
yeah.
super. Yeah.
Well, I think we've been evolving. As I mentioned to Kevin earlier, we met in college and had that really intense, youthful, excited energy, which we still have on stage, no doubt about it. We love playing. Um, but with that, like our tastes have begun to evolve. And I think that song All Right Tonight is an example of us like finding energy in different kind of dynamics. It's a lot groovier. It's a little more patient. It's more textured. And you know, the first 50 songs I wrote with the band, I was like screaming my head off, like singing as hard as I could. And it's taken time to adjust, almost like let the excitement settle into a comfortable place where I can pick and choose when to belt as a singer and when to lay back and catch the vibe. So in All Right Tonight, it's one of the like softer I've ever sung in the studio for a lot of it, but then it really slingshocks in dynamic where it starts kind of wavy and groovy and textured, and then eventually you get a taste of our like upbeat, unseen, high energy jam. And I come back singing some of the hardest I've ever sung in the studio at the peak of the jam, where I bring the chorus back. So I think like as you mature as a band and as a person, you're able to, you know, not come out of the gate flying like I did when I was, 19. So hopefully it shows a little bit of growth, and more than anything, it just vibed with us. And we're we're not the band that's going to keep doing the same thing every time. We're going to do what feels authentic to us now, and we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Yeah. What you just described, I think, is the vocalist version of what we've heard so many times, which is as you, like you said, evolve and your perspective on things changes, things get simplified sometimes, especially on stage too. Actually, Adam Deitch just posted something this morning about that, and kind of taking the pauses and the breaks and not necessarily having to like shred every single second.
Right.
So it kind of sounds like what you're describing, but from your perspective, what you do. Do you think that's translating to the live shows at all in any way?
I do, yeah. I think it's common, like Deitch said, and I think like even a lot of guitarists might say that there's pacing that like when it's hard to not give in to the adrenaline of playing live. When you have a bunch of fans screaming and they're excited, you want to just run out of the gate and sprint the whole time. But I think treating it more like a marathon in terms of like even approaching a guitar solo. Like I think it would be easy to fall into the trap of just like getting to your like fastest, most complicated moves as early as possible instead of letting the music come to you. Instead of realizing that we're all, in a marathon and not a sprint, and taking your time and really listening to where, the progress of a solo in those gaps. I think it's powerful to show poise, and you know so I do think that our sound is maturing in that way live as well. I think that we've embraced the valleys as much as we've celebrated the peaks in the shows, and we've been able, and by doing so, we have more practice in those valleys, which for us is always very danceable, but it doesn't have to be like a explosive funk moment at all times. Like we're getting into the texture, we're getting into the soundscapes, and we're trying to create more dynamics. And I think it's given us practice to do that. And I mean, again, it's just what's coming naturally to us. So I do think it is translating. I hope.
I wanted to ask about if there was going to be a certain Dome Fest this year.
Oh man, Dome Fest is the best. It's really, when we started doing this like meet and greet thing before our shows, and so many people talk to us about Dome Fest. They got married at Dome Fest, and they meet up at Dome Fest every year with other people who have gotten married at Dome Fest. And again, like, this started for fun. Like, Jeremy started Dome Fest in college for fun, and if you fast forward 12 years, people are like, it's a traditional gathering for them. It's like the destination that they meet up and they get married there, and mark it on their calendars. It's just incredible. So news for Dome Fest is coming out soon. It's something that we like hold near and dear, and it's just become a tradition at this point. It's incredible. It's made it, all these years, and people care about it as much as they do. But we have a big plan for the summer and late spring. And I mean, we're getting right back on the road here in a minute. So just got back from the West Coast, and now we got to swing back through the East Coast of some of our favorite spots, be up and down the coast, and then big plans for the summer.
Nice. Yeah, and y'all are going to be with Tand for a couple dates, and Karina, I think, too.
Yeah, I think Karina's at the Cap. I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Yeah, Pennsylvania and the Cap.
Yeah.
And then Tand in Florida, which is great. Tand has been getting out there. I've noticed they're kind of expanding, I think, kind of where their reach is, which is cool to see. And yeah, I think that's where the shows that you'll be with them are. But it's nice to see that, like the regional thing happening.
Sure, they're a great band. I think an underrated band. We've known some of the members of Tand before Tand was playing, so we have a long history with Mike from the Heavy Pets, and I guess at this moment Rob from Aqueous, and one of the members through Aura Festival down in Florida. So like, we've known these guys for a really long time, and sometimes I don't know, like, I guess at this point I recognize that a lot of my friends are super talented, but when you go see a friend's band, you're not really expecting too much, and I was blown away when I saw them. Granted, I know they're all phenomenal musicians, but you can't just be a great musician and put a bunch together and expect it to be good. But they have a real connection, and I'm excited to play with them. And we love, we remember very vividly what it was like, in the earlier stages. And if we can, hop on and support a band as they came through, and that helped us get in front of more people, how big that was for us, how excited we were to bring our fans and to enjoy theirs. And it's kind of funny to be at this stage where we're giving back to the opening bands as much, because time flies. I mean, we just went on a tour with Dogs in a Pile. You know those guys? They're a great band, and they're probably like 10 years younger than us. And I remember like it was yesterday when we started like opening for bands like the Disco Biscuits or Humphreys McGee or Mo. And I'm not saying that Pigeons are those bands now, but what I am saying is like we looked up to them like kind of like older brothers. They were the generation ahead of us, and now all of a sudden there's a generation coming behind us. The next wave is coming with bands like Dogs in a Pile or even Eggy or all these other great young bands. It's kind of surreal to wear the other hat on the relationship, but it's also easy to remember why we do it, and we're thrilled to be able to help Tand blow out a local show in Florida, and kind of join forces and hang with them because we like those guys.
Well, it wasn't Daryl. Didn't he wasn't he part of Halloween or one of those festivals down there
Aura
at one
Music
time?
Festival, yeah. And that was, man, that the first time we played Aura Music Festival down in Florida was enormous for the band. And it's, again, one of those surreal full circle moments where now Daryl's playing on the bill with us back in Florida, and we're doing like a full week in Florida because we've been able to, gain some love there from places like Aura. It really is, that's the beauty of this scene. Like, there's a lot of, kind of full circle moments, scratching each other's back, we're all in it together kind of vibe, and it's all for just a good time and the love of music.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. As a fan who's come up in the scene for, I won't say how many decades, a while, you see that progression. Kevin's laughing, like the life cycle, and it is so awesome, and it's always a reminder too that you all know each other. Everybody knows each other. Everyone's shared stages, bills, and I think sometimes, you know, as fans, we love the bands we love, and can get a little proprietary out there sometimes. I'll just use that word, but that's so great what you just said, because it's true. You all have been kind of running into each other for how long, and that to me is a really special thing. I agree about the scene.
And it's also one thing I realized is if you meet someone who's kind of like a road dog, like we've been, there's just a mutual understanding of the ups, the downs, the sacrifice, the joys, how it affects your personal life, like everything. So you kind of are almost caught up before you even meet, and then time elapses, and even though we don't hang a lot, we see each other maybe in the summer festival season or whatever and catch up on things, and we watch our friends go from we used to party a little more, and now we're talking about our kids, and I'm meeting their kids, and they look like him, and like all this stuff. It really is special, and I our band, like, we're always just so thrilled when other bands are doing well. We have no you know jealousies or ill will. Like we're always like, oh, it's so great for those guys. I mean, a perfect example is Goose. I mean, when the pandemic hit, they were opening for us, and
In the West Coast there, right?
on the
You were out
West Coast.
Seattle or
Yep,
yeah.
and we the last show we played before the pandemic hit was with Goose, and 3 years later they were playing 2 nights at the Hampton Coliseum. And like, I think it's amazing for everyone, for the jam scene, for live music, for everything. Like the fact that John Mayer thinks that Rick's a great guitarist is awesome. I think that that they're playing Coliseums is incredible. And like you said, I know those guys. I am so happy for Peter and Rick and Trevor and everybody. Like it's incredible. It kind of like takes the mystique away from it a little bit, and it's like, oh, these guys have just been working hard, writing great music, and that's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
There you go. Nice. I like that. It's like the last great American adventure, going on the road with a band or following a band around if you're not a musical type.
Yeah, it is kind of I think the rock and roll of it has changed quite a bit. I think we have enough cautionary tales to not, destroy a hotel room or ourselves. But yeah, this era of it is really cool. I think it's gotten a little more practical, and but still so much fun. I mean, it's always funny because, like I said, as you get older, I got kids. There's more sacrifice. It's not as easy to be like, yeah, let's do a 5-month run. And there's work, and you're working on your personal craft, and you're practicing, and you're tired, and all this, and you're driving, and all this stuff, and then you walk on stage, and you're like, oh yeah, this is why, this is it. That's the fun part. That I always joke, like, it's not much, but like we get paid to drive. We get the venues pay us to practice. Like the shows, that's
10 hours, 500 miles.
There you go.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Oh God, you wouldn't believe, like, we 36 hours both ways, whether it's layovers and rental cars and stuff, and play like 45 minutes at a set, or an hour 15, and then turn around and head back. It's pretty wild, the percentage there. But like, I always, it's why I remind myself, like, that's why this is a job and not just like a hobby, is because of the actual work behind the scenes. The shows themselves are just the life force.
I have something totally random.
Love it.
Actually,
I need random.
Yeah, so I'm gonna impose on the memory for just a second.
Okay.
So that tour, you were talking about the tour with Goose in like 2020, right before kind of COVID stuff happened. So I just wanted to mention, because this is still one of my favorite moments. I had been following that tour from here in Denver, and you all had played LA. I think it was maybe the Troubadour. I can't remember, but you had a special guest who's one of my favorite musicians, Angus Leslie from Sex
Ah,
on Toast.
yes.
I love them, especially their early stuff. I actually had him on my other radio show like a couple months after that. And I have to go back and see if we probably did talk about that actually. So I might need to send you all that interview or at least that bit of it. But I was like, they sang Oh Loretta. And I'm like, I wonder what the reaction was like to that. I know there's some videos online, but I just had to say, like, however that
What
worked out, amazing.
confusion.
Oh,
Confusion.
really?
Pure confusion. Yeah, I mean, they liked it for sure, but if you don't know Angus Leslie, he's in an amazing band called Sex on Toast from Australia. He's one of the wildest performers and people I've ever met. He's one of my favorite people on the planet.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he happened to be in LA when we happened to be in LA, and we had been talking online just because we loved his zany energy. And their music video, Oh Loretta, check it out. It is, you got to watch all the way till the end. It
Yeah, you
is
do.
fantastic. And it was so surreal that we were even in the same room together, that when we realized he was able to make it, we started learning the song immediately, and we worked out the harmonies backstage with him. And normally, I mean, I assumed people would dig it, but like mostly like we're thinking about our, the songs we want to play that would serve the show. That one was kind of just for us.
Yes.
That one. let's play a Sex on Toast song with Angus, and I have no regrets at all. It was so fun and so surreal.
Yeah,
Um,
I bet.
that it really was something else. And we've had a couple of those moments. Like I grew up in college listening to ALO a lot, and
Mhm.
I remember when my roommate showed me Plastic Bubble, and I was like, "What is this?" I was just catching up with this music scene in like 2008 or whatever, and fast forward to this past year, and we played Plastic Bubble with Lebo and Zach singing from
Mhm.
ALO, and I got to sing it with him and with them. And I'm like, how did I get so lucky to do this? Like it's one thing to love a song, but to be able to play it with the members of the band is just something that like doesn't slip past my radar. It's really special. And
Yeah.
Angus was everything I wanted him to be and more. Sometimes you wonder how much of it is in an act when someone is so crazy. That
I
dude
don't
is
think so.
wonderfully wild. I love that guy.
His
So,
Instagram feed is like one of my favorite things in the world. But so thank you for humoring me. Just know I was in Denver like, holy shit, what
oh,
is
that's so
happening?
funny because people in LA were like, "What the fuck is this?" So it's
No,
nice to know that
awesome
it was
stuff.
appreciated somewhere in
Oh,
the
so
states.
appreciated. Thank
Um,
you. Yeah, thanks for,
Hopefully, it won't be the last time. I love Angus. We've talked
yeah.
about playing together for years. We've talked about having Sex on Toast at Dome Fest, and it's just
Oh my
he lives
God.
in Australia, so it's the stars need to
I know.
align. But they did that one day. It was so
They
crazy. He
did.
walked in. We were at sound check, and we just broke into a different Sex on Toast song when he walked in, and he was like, "This is so crazy! Like I am in America, and you guys are playing our song. Like what is happening?" It was surreal for both of us, and we became fast friends. Like I love that dude.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website, allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.